There were so many new cozy games in March, and I got to play a lot of them. Some of which were great, and some of which were not so great. And in this video, I'll be reviewing all of them. Also, hi, if you're new here, I'm Ellie, and this is the Cozy Gaming Club where we love to talk about all the latest and greatest cozy games. The first game I want to talk about is a short but sweet ocean cleanup game called Expelled. Climate change is a huge issue across the world, and in this game you tackle it by playing as a little boat cleaning up the dirty water it calls home. As you clear away the oil spills spread across the murky water, the sea will begin to brighten, and before long you'll be able to see the coral reefs and watch the creatures swimming around beneath the waves. There are also dirty and distressed creatures hidden around the map for you to find and save, as well as fires to put out and citizens to help by finding their missing items. The main focus of the game is chugging slowly back and forth as you suck up all the oil spills, and steer an increasingly growing pile of plastic bottles towards the rubbish truck. It's very therapeutic and reminds me a lot of games like Loddlenaut or Power Wash Sim, and just like those games, you'll be able to upgrade your tools over time. In Spilled, that manifests in a wider nozzle for your boat, a bigger storage container for the oil you collect, and a faster engine. Expelled is a beautiful game that really nails the relaxing vibes, and while it's not long at only an hour to complete all of the content, it's very cheap at just £5, and incredibly satisfying to play. I would definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a chill experience with an important message to share that doesn't overstay its welcome. This unpacking like with plants was one of my most anticipated games in March, and I am sad to say that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. In Urban Jungle, you play as a woman who has a very successful corporate job, but feels unfulfilled and has lost her way. Travel through her life from visiting her grandma as a child to her first place away from home and fill them all with the plants that she loves so much. This is where things get a little tricky though, as each plant has its preferences, from needing sunlight to humidity and to plant neighbours that they want to be near or apart from. Choose between a range of plants and strategically place them in the various rooms to maximise their happiness and unlock points to progress to the next level. There's a wide range of plants you can add to each room, some of which are free and some of which are paid, and you can view them all in your plant journal. While I loved seeing all the different plants and learning about them, I did have a few issues with this part of the game. First, it was incredibly glitchy. There was one point where I tried to head downstairs and my plant just vanished into the ether. I also found that the humidity and light could be quite limiting, especially in the early game where there weren't a lot of options for either. It meant that all of my plants ended up clumped in one location, which looked a bit ridiculous by the end of the level and wasn't as decorating fun as I was expecting. Thankfully, there is a sandbox mode where you can decorate to your heart's content with no limitations. Overall, I liked Urban Jungle and it reminded me a lot of Unpacking, so if you're looking for another game like that, then this may be the game for you. It's not a super long game with about 4 hours of gameplay spread across 10 levels, but it is a charming game, and while it wasn't for me, it might be for you. This next game has been so controversial. I don't think I've seen so much drama around a game since the launch of Fae Farm, but this is Sugardew Island, and if I'm being honest, I don't hate it. But I don't think it's for everyone. Let me start by saying this game is not Stardew Valley. It's not Animal Crossing either, and it's not trying to be them. Sugardew Island is an uncomplicated farming and shop sim about trying to revitalize an island that's been overrun by weeds and thorns. Every day you wake up and care for your garden, then sell any produce you make in the village store, which in turn earns you harmony that can be used to upgrade the harmony tree and unlock new upgrades for your farm, tools, and home. You can unlock animals you can raise for their produce, and there are also locals you can befriend and even date. Although I did find this part lacking even more than Fae Farm. That's all there is to it, and it's very simple, so that's definitely something to be aware of before you dive into this game. But if you're looking for something mindless that you can play while watching TV or while multitasking and doing something else, then this may be a good choice. I've been having a particularly busy and stressful time in my day job recently, and honestly this game has been a good way to just switch off my mind and focus on something else for a while. There's no complicated plot or mechanics to keep track of, just farming and selling, which can get a little repetitive. But there's also the satisfaction of completing all the quests and slowly healing the island, and I've almost finished the entire game. It also works flawlessly on Steam Deck, and I didn't experience any bugs or issues with it. As I said before, this game is very simple and there's not a lot to it. I'd probably call it a minimalist farming sim, and while I definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone looking for a new Stardew Valley, it's a good multitasking or grinding game to switch off from the world, although I would probably wait for it to go on sale. This next game is definitely one of my top games this month, and will probably be in my top 10 for the entire year. In the Roottrees Are Dead, you play as a private detective who's been tasked with outlining the root tree family tree. The Roottrees are a rich family, and the current president of their namesake candy company has just died, along with his wife and children. Now, their money must be redistributed to the rest of the family, but who's actually a blood relative and deserving of the fortune? That's where you come in. Scour the 1990s internet, library books, and public newspaper archives to find out everything you can about the Roottrees and their extended family in this fantastic detective game. And the best thing is that when you finish, there's a whole second mystery for you to solve. I won't spoil it for you, but there's a lot more content in this game than I was expecting, and it really made me feel like a proper internet sleuth tracking secrets across the internet to finish the family tree. Like any good detective story, there's lots of secrets to uncover and family feuds to navigate, and solving the case may be a little harder than you're expecting, but you can always grab a hint or two if you need them. The game does make things a little tricky though, as the information is only confirmed after locking in 3 correct characters, although this does increase to 4 and then 5 as you progress through the game. Also, sometimes you may think a tidbit is irrelevant, but it actually reveals a whole new avenue of exploration that you may have completely missed if you hadn't searched for it. You'll probably find yourself going back and forth a lot, trying to keep track of everything in your mind or using the in-game notebook to try and unravel this complex family tree. There are lots of fun details added into the game as well, like songs for the musicians in the family and lots of photos to put faces to all their names. They've even improved it since I started playing by adding the option to search all periodicals instead of needing to check each one at a time. In total, it probably took me around 12 hours to finish the entire game, and if you're a fan of the Nancy Drew series or other mystery games like Return of the Obra Dinn, then you'll probably also enjoy this one. If you're looking for a hilarious co-op game where you both play as a little guy, in this case a squirrel, then look no further because I had a blast playing this one with my friend Cece. In Squirreled Away, you play as 2 squirrels getting up to mischief in a beautiful woodland, while also occasionally helping out the local wildlife. Very occasionally, in our case. To be honest, we probably spent the first 30 minutes or so just running up and down all of the trees and jumping from branch to branch. It was so satisfying chasing each other around and around before we finally buckled up to get on with the quests. This game is made up of a series of areas, and to reach the next area you have to complete all of the main quests by helping the woodland creatures. This can be anything from collecting items to hunting for treasure or catching fish all across this colourful open world. It does get a little repetitive, especially when you need to start upgrading your tools and collecting all the resources, so I found the fun did wear off a little bit as I got further into the game. But on the plus side, it's very intuitive and very easy to pick up, and it works great on my Steam Deck. Also, they've added some accessibility features to help with climbing, where you get pulled onto a branch if you jump close enough, which saved me from falling once or twice. But even if you do fall, there's no fall damage, even if you fall from the tippiest top of the tallest tree. There is other damage in the game though. In the second location, there's a dog that will chase you around and barrel into you if you get too close, stealing some of your health, and it's quite difficult to shake them off your tail. Regaining health is also a little frustrating, as while there's ample amounts of strawberries, acorns, mushrooms, and other woodland food to collect, the health gain from each one is tiny. You need to eat 2 or 3 to refill 1 heart, and there are other ways to get damage too, like walking into hedgehogs. Also, while you're on your adventure, you'll find yourself collecting a lot of resources, because there are so many things to pick up and chop and dig, but your inventory is also tiny. You can increase it by finding these caches and filling them with the items they need, but it's negligible in comparison to everything you can collect. When you reach your home tree, you can build chests and store items in them, but again, they have very limited inventory space with only 5 spaces per chest, and your items barely stack into the double figures depending on what they are. Plus, because you can only access your chest at your home, you'll need to travel across the massive open world to collect any resources you left there. Speaking of your home though, you can actually have multiple homes, as you can buy new home trees from this very friendly seagull, like this lakeside property I just bought. You can build a tree house in each one using the same modular building that most survival crafting games use. As you can see, I'm not much of a builder though, just give me a floor, wall, and a roof so I can place my workbenches. Overall, this game is fun, but the limited inventory definitely ruins some of the enjoyment. There's lots to do though, with plenty of quests to complete for your woodland friends, golden acorns to search for, tree houses to build, and just scrambling around with your player too. If you're looking for a more relaxing co-op game to play with friends, maybe this is the one for you. I picked this next one up while working on my video for Unpacking Likes, which you can watch here if you want to play more games like Unpacking. Packit List is an adorable 3D packing game where you need to carefully rotate and stack items to make them fit into a bag to progress through the story. This varies from a packed lunch going into a picnic basket, to belongings going into a travel bag, to the more unusual, which is where the story comes into play. In this game, you play as Hannah, a high school girl whose best friend passes away. Stricken by grief, Hannah becomes housebound after losing all her courage to venture out into the wider world. But then one day she wakes up and finds herself in a world that isn't her own. From working as a secret agent and packing a briefcase full of weapons and tech, to an adventurer with a pack full of potions and spell scrolls. From this point on, the game becomes fantastical, as Hannah comes to terms with the loss of her friend. The most incredible thing about this game is that there's no words, and the entire story is conveyed through cute comic strips of the characters. You might be inclined to think that this lessens the impact of the story, but I still found myself nearly brought to tears at parts, and I'm sure you will too. Packit List is a short game with around an hour of playtime depending on your packing skills, but honestly it's so cute and so cheap at £3.50, so it's definitely worth considering. While the Roottrees Are Dead didn't quite make my Game of the Year spot, this next one is definitely a strong contender. As someone who has played all of the previous games from Hazelight Studios, I was so excited for Split Fiction, but honestly, it's even better than I could have imagined. This is one of the most creative and fun games I've played in a long time, and the best part is I got to play it all with my best friend. In this co-op adventure, you play as two strangers who get stuck in a simulation. There they get to live through every story idea they've ever come up with, which may sound like a dream come true, but can sometimes have disastrous results. As one character is a science fiction author and the other is focused on fantasy, you'll find yourself jumping between the two genres often. In one simulation, you may be trying to escape before an exploding star kills you, while in the other, you're visiting a magical rat market or raising pet dragons. Every world you encounter is beautiful, and all of the joyful secrets the developers have hidden in each area is part of the charm. The fantasy areas were definitely my favourite, but there's so many different levels and worlds to explore. There's also some amazing references to the previous games from Hazelight, as well as fun Easter eggs for other games like Assassin's Creed and Dark Souls to discover. With a compelling story, beautiful world, and the fact it's not too difficult, I would definitely recommend this one to everyone, although you will need a player too to play it with. Inkle has a history of making great games, and this one is no different. But it is definitely not for everyone, and I almost gave up on it were it not for my determination to prove my innocence. But I'm getting ahead of myself. In Expelled, you play as a scholarship student at one of the top boarding schools in England, who has been accused of attempting to murder the head girl. The benevolent headmistress has kindly allowed you one day to prove your innocence, or you could try to frame someone else for the crime. This is a very clever story-driven mystery where you complete 30 minutes, or less if you get expelled early, runs of the game, slowly collecting more and more information about your school, your classmates, and even your teachers and the other faculty members. There is so much information to grapple with in this game, and this is one of the things I wish was done a little better, as there's no way to review everything you've learned, at least that I could find. Instead, it pops up on the screen for about 10 seconds before disappearing to never be seen again, unless you rediscover it or access it through your notebook, which may seem good, but actually just displays every clue on the screen one at a time for a minute or two. For example, I discovered the location of a certain key on my very first run, and then promptly forgot about it because it was my first run. I was overwhelmed, and then I didn't find it again until maybe the 10th run. If I'd been able to review this in an easier, more digestible format, I may have been able to solve this easier. But my issue with the information aside, everything else in this game is genius. The entire game runs on a clock shown in the top middle of your screen, and every speech or action you take adds a few minutes to the clock. Every character in the game moves independently of this clock, which means depending on the time there'll be different people in different rooms. So choosing how you spend your time is very important. Every day starts with the head girl falling through a stained glass window and plummeting into the rose bushes below. But what happens next is up to you. Will you go to classes and pretend everything is normal, or will you snoop around to try to uncover some of the school's many secrets? However you choose to spend your day, there's one other choice to think about: the morality system. The first 2 runs I played, I was good as gold and didn't even make it through assembly. So when I started playing, I was concerned that in order to complete the game, you need to be evil, which didn't sit right with me. Thankfully, I can report this isn't the case, but if you are evil, you can unlock more devious and wicked options for dialogue choices, and actions that may help or hinder you. I won't give you spoilers, but it took me around 6 hours and 18 runs to get the desired ending. And by the end of it, my head was definitely hurting trying to think my way out of the various dilemmas Verity gets into. While I almost gave up on this game at the start, I'm really glad I stuck with it, and I'm proud of myself for not getting expelled. Overall, I wouldn't say this was one of my favourite games this month, but it was a really good brain teaser with a lot of moving parts. Those are all of the games I played this month. Have you played any of them, or are you hoping to after watching this video? Let me know down in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!